Hey guys, what's up? This is Connor Gray with Unison Audio, and today we're going to be talking about how to write advanced chord progressions in 4 easy steps. Whether you've been playing piano and writing music your whole life or are just getting into it now, we're going to go through a step-by-step process to hopefully make your progression sound a little bit more interesting. Let's get into it. Step 1 is to write a basic chord progression. When you're doing this on your own, I would suggest using only the white keys to do so. And basic just means chords with only 3 notes in them. If you're unsure of what a chord is, or why there's 3 notes in a chord and why isn't there 4 and all this sort of thing, maybe let me know in the comments and I can do a specific video on basic music theory concepts. But for now, let's keep cruising. So let's take a listen to this progression that I have here and see what we can learn from it. So right away, it's good to recognize that basic doesn't mean bad and advanced doesn't mean better or good, I think that this chord progression sounds totally fine on its own. It might be something that I use in my music if I want, but it's good to understand some harmonic principles so that if we want to make our music more interesting, then we can do that without having to guess. The most important principle for me when I'm writing chord progressions is something called chord voicings. So before there was stringed instruments like guitars, pianos, violins, whatever, there was just the human voice. So I like to imagine that each of these notes is its own individual person singing that note, right? So person with the lowest voice gets all the bass notes, they're kind of singing this line. Person with the next lowest voice, kind of singing this line, and so on, right? Now, see how this person is moving into this person's range, right? It's fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with this. But one way that we can fix this to make the notes smoother from one to each other, we can take this guy and let's move him up an octave. Okay, see how it visually looks better already in the MIDI arranger here? Then we have this big jump here. Let's fix that by taking this note and moving it down an octave. And let's listen. Okay, so it's the exact same chord progression, but I've only moved 2 notes around, and now it's a little bit smoother, right? Sounds more pleasing to the ear, I would say. Now that our progression is sounding a little bit more smooth, the next thing we want to do is add more notes to the chords, or we would say that we're adding extensions to the chords. 2 things we need to understand before we can do that. Firstly, what a root note is and how to find it. So if we're playing a C major chord, the root note is the note C. Okay, it would be this guy down here. If we're playing an E minor chord, the root note is E, and so on. Next thing we need to understand is that there are 2 types of basic chords that we're going to be using, okay? We have major chords and minor chords. And for today, we're going to think of these as cakes. So we're adding sprinkles to the cakes. So the extensions are the sprinkles that we're adding to the cake. This is the concept we're going to be using. Okay, so let's find the root note now. So in the chord C, root note is C, let's find it. There it is. So when we're dealing with major cakes, the first type of extension that we can add is by finding that root note, we're going to lower it by 1 note. Okay, so C goes down by 1. Okay. Next one, we have E minor. So when we're dealing with minor chords, the type of extension we're going to add is by finding that root note and lowering it by 2. Okay. So where is E? There's E, goes down by 2. What about this next guy? We have F major. Let's find that F note. Where is he? Major guy goes down by 1. And this last one, we have A minor. Where's A? There it is. Minors go down by 2. And let's listen. So what we're doing when we're taking the root note and lowering it by 1, we're adding the 7th to it, okay? I'm not gonna get too in-depth in that right now. Concept is find root note for major chords, lower by 1. Find root notes for minor chords, lower by 2. That's gonna add the correct 7ths to each of the chords. That's how we're gonna think about it. Now, this sounds pretty good, but maybe there's some things that we can change. I want this note up here. Sounds a little bit more open. Let's get this guy sounding good with some good voice leading. That's kind of cool. Maybe I want both of these up now. I think I like that one the best. Okay. The last step that we can do now is to add some rhythm to these progressions. Because right now we have 4 counts per chord. If I put a metronome on, 1, 2, 3, 4, this kind of thing. And you guys can be as creative as you want with this. We're dealing with 4 chords now, so maybe let's do something like this. If you're using Studio One, actually, cool trick, you can hold Alt and it moves them over equally. So let's try something like this. And I think that sounds fine as it is. Okay, let's move on to our next example here. And let's take a listen. Okay, I think you guys can see that it looks pretty blocky and chunky. It sounds like that too. How do we solve this? Right? How do we make the voices smoother between each other? Let's move this guy up an octave. Let's move this guy up an octave. This guy can come down. And it's looking better already. Let's hear it. Nice. I personally like it more. I think it sounds more musical to me, but it doesn't mean that it is that way for everybody. And you guys can do whatever you want. Of course, it's music. Another thing I'm going to do, though, is add another voice. So let's double up this F. Let's double up this E. Let's double up this E and double that D. Let's do something else now. Let's take all these middle guys for fun and slap them up there, and let's listen. Sounds cool. Let's leave it for now and move on to our next step. Okay, next step, extensions. This is where we're thinking chords are cakes now. We're adding the other notes to the cakes, which are the different types of sprinkles. So far, we have major cakes. We add the sprinkle that is 1 note below the root note, okay? Then we have minor cakes. This is where we take the root note and we lower it by 2. Before we move on, I just want to mention that this is not always the case. You can't just take any major chord anywhere, find the root note, lower it by 1. I don't have time to explain why that is right now, but just try adding it. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work in that context, okay? That's all I'll say about it for now. First type of cake we have here is minor, so D minor. What do we do with minor cakes? Root note, -2. Where's the D? Root note, -2, okay? Next one, what do we have? A minor. So find the root note, -2. Next guy, C, root note, -1. Last guy, G, root note, -1. Let's listen. Sounds good. Yeah. That last one feels kind of funny to me. The 7 on the G. So I'm going to leave that there. I like that better. Okay, let's see if we can move some of these around now. Let's move this guy back down, just for fun. Okay, let's listen to this. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you can spend a long time just on one progression, fiddling with notes, moving this guy down, moving that guy up, moving the voices in different places and seeing how they sound until you find something that you really like the sound of. So let's keep this for now and move on to the last step, the rhythm. Okay, last step, we have rhythm. Let's start by taking these and cutting them in half and duplicating them. Why you go over there? Do like this. Okay, so before we had the basic progression and we added the seventh to it. So now to have some inner movement of the notes, we can go back to the root note and then add the seventh, or have the seventh and add the root note. I'll show you what I mean. First chord here is D minor, tells us. So let's find that 7, which was C. And let's move it up to D to get some movement. Right, so now I'm thinking it's going D minor to D minor 7. This next guy, we have A minor 7. So let's find that G, which was the 7. Or maybe do I want to go like this? I think I like it like this more. So this guy is C. Let's find it 7, which would be B. Or do I want this? I think I like it like this more. That's cool. All right, let's move on. So what's the best way to study something like this? Obviously, creating your own progressions, writing a basic progression and going through the steps like we talked about in today's video is the best way to do it. I would suggest that while you're doing that, don't stop until you actually like the sound of your chord progression. I think that's really important that you actually like it. Another good way to study is to take a look at what other people have done and reverse engineer and see what you can learn from their work. So I've written a bunch of chord progressions, which can be found on our website for free, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. It's called the Unison Essential Advanced MIDI Chord Progressions Pack. I have a few examples here, which we'll take a listen to now. Okay, so there's some new stuff going on that we didn't talk about today, right? Let's look over here. We have 7s, that's fine. Ooh, a 6, what's that? Ooh, slash chord, a 9. So if this is something you guys want to know more about, chord extensions, what they mean, how to use them, when not to use them, leave me a comment in the comment section and I can make a video on that next if that's something that you guys are interested in. Let's take another example here. Cool rhythm here. Let's take a look at another one. I like that one a lot, actually. I hope that today's video was helpful in at least one way for you guys to help improve your chord progressions. I know that it was a lot to go over in such a short amount of time. So if you had any questions, please let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you there. Also, if you have suggestions on further chord-related videos, I'll be doing one of these each week and we'll be releasing them on the Unison Audio YouTube channel here. Not only do we have free chord progression packs, there's loops of melodies, bass lines, one-shots, artist series essentials, presets for Serum and Omnisphere. So head on over to unison.audio free pack section and download yours today. Okay, thanks again, guys. This is Connor, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.